Good evening everybody, race fans from around the world, wherever you may be this evening or this morning. I suppose it all depends on where you are, doesn't it? Welcome to our live coverage once again of the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercar Series. We find ourselves here tonight at the always challenging Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. Tonight's broadcast, of course, presented by Alliance Sim Racing and brought to you by Simple Racing Broadcasts. It's Broadcast Made Simple. My name is Jared Cole, and I'm going to be guiding you through all the action today in what promises to be a very thrilling two-race event for all of our drivers tonight. Our first race tonight, a fast and furious 13-lap sprint. I cannot even predict what we're going to see in that sprint this evening. Knowing these drivers, though, it's going to be something worth watching. And then we get into the main event, a 36-lap race with not just one but two compulsory pit stops, and of course a reverse top 5 grid for that second race, meaning that the race winner from that sprint will be starting in 5th for the main event, which makes it even more unpredictable. Oschersleben is a really technical track. It's deceptively so. There are some really tight corners, very limited overtaking opportunities, and the road surface plays a massive part here, so strategy and patience will absolutely be key. The drivers will need to manage their tyre wear and make those pit stops count if they want to be in the running for victory in either of our races this evening. We are only moments away from the start of qualifying now, so do settle in, grab your favourite drink, get ready for a full evening of V8 Supercar action. It's going to be an absolutely wild ride here at Oschersleben, so stay tuned and do make sure, of course, that you subscribe just down below to make sure you catch all of the action from this series as we bring it to you each week. So let's kick off, let's get underway, let's take a look at what we are expecting here tonight at Oschersleben. And really, again, perfect temperatures, perfect conditions for these drivers. So the rain not playing a part this evening will all be down to the driver's skill in navigating this circuit. 18 degree track temp, air temp, and 20 degree track temp. So nice and cool. It's not too surprising, given that we are in Germany, of course. The track itself, just over 3.5 k's long, a couple of really tricky ones, and Oschersleben is certainly one of my least favourite is unfair, but it's a very challenging circuit, and there are a couple of key things to watch for. First and foremost, the pit exit here at Oschersleben has to be one of the worst I have ever seen. It is absolutely horrific, and I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see a driver or two cause themselves a bit of grief in trying to exit out of the pits. And with two compulsory pit stops in that second race, that is bound to happen, I'm sure, so we'll keep an eye out for that. The first turn after that straight through 1 and 2 into Hotel, it's the sausage curbs there are just absolutely unforgiving. I have personally caused myself a whole lot of pain going through turn 1, especially as you throw the car left to right and try and settle it down for the long constant radius of turn 2 there. And then again, as we get around the back of the circuit, turns 8 and 9, a deceptive little chicane there. You can take it flat out, but you do need to be all over it in terms of your line. Well, there's a couple of bumps that just might catch you out. Likewise, as we come down to Shell Curve and Amman Curve, just a couple of back-to-backs that really do challenge drivers to find the fastest line through there. This is, look, I'm speaking from experience in cars that are certainly far more planted than a V8 supercar. So the fact that these guys are going to be throwing supercars through this circuit, it beggars belief, honestly. But look, we'll take a look at qualifying in just a moment. Let's have a look at the championship and how that looks now that we are here into round 3. And really the top 10 starting to really sort themselves out here. Matt Vanderkraan, of course, on top with 713 points. But not too far back, Trav Hunt and Stephen Varga still very much in the running for that top spot. Troy Sippel and Rick Vigar almost tied there in 4th and 5th. Not a lot to separate them, and Simon Haynes sniffing at their heels as well. Trav Daly just a little further back. Chris Burridge, of course, finds himself well and truly inside that top 10, with Damon Fisher and Jason Dunn rounding it out just a little further back, and also almost tied there, just a single point separating P9 and P10 in the championship so far. Gary Buckland and Matthew Stoyles also very closely matched at Peter Latham, again not far behind there either. Scott Perrins, look, he's still in it with a shot. I'll cross my fingers for him. I do like to see Scotty get up if he can. Daniel Sheriffs as well, despite a couple of issues in last round's second race, is doing alright in P15. Peter Sattler and Todd Martin also very close there, with Joseph Granshaw not far behind, so not a lot separating these top 20 drivers really. Dylan Sippel and Mark Peck, of course, rounding out the top 20 there. As we take a look a little further back, Anita Buckland and James Hardy leading out from Anderson and Wicks. Then Phil Marsh, Michael Hayes, and Stephen Kennedy is probably the first of those who has found themselves a little further back just as a result of not making some of the events so far, which has had a pretty big impact on their running for the championship at this stage. Darren Crosby, Sean Vandermeulen, of course, missing last week, unfortunately with some issues there. Nick Hausler as well. And as we take a look further back, some of these names have been present in every race, but have had a couple of real shockers thus far. Dane Northurft has been amongst it. We've certainly seen him challenging, but hasn't managed to convert that to points so far. Luke Powell, Mario Rao, Jason DiBattista also around, as well as Craig Rose and Chad Vigar. Peter Vankraan as well, and then Scott Bartine is also in the mix there, although I haven't seen a great deal of him. Jamie McKnight, of course, sitting all the way down in 39th with only, I believe, the one appearance so far. So hopefully an opportunity for him to get some points on the board is not too far away. So that's the championship as it sits at the moment. Our drivers, of course, out on track at this stage, just getting in their qualifying laps, and we will take a look at that in just a sec as we do get set tonight. The drivers, of course, 10 minutes, 2 lone laps of qualifying available to them. So we will just take a look and see what we've got going on in terms of qualifying, and we'll see if we can try and catch a few different drivers here tonight. It will, of course, be a little hard to see them all. The problem with lone qualifying, of course, is that we don't get to see everyone at once. But that said, we'll try and keep in touch with who we're watching, and Dylan Sippel on screen here at the moment. And Matt Vanderkraan is so far in qualifying, setting the pace, but not a great deal between them at this stage. As we see Dylan coming around to finish off his final lap. Matt Wicks as well. The Granny Spec Racing entry there. Nick Hausler not too far behind on track from Matt Vanderkraan either. This is where it starts to get a little interesting, trying to keep track of everything that is going on. But let's see if we can jump on board. I will just try and track Nick Hausler down in amongst all of the mess that is here. Oh, look, why not? We'll take a look at Chad Vigar and see how he managed to put together a lap or two here. So the finishing position so far, if no one else manages to put anything further together, and they do only have 2 laps to string together here, we need to remember. Matt Vanderkraan finds himself actually reasonably comfortably out in front for a change. We are used to seeing a top 10 that's separated by only a few tenths of a second, but he's actually got himself almost half a second of gap over Trav Hunt in P2 at this stage. Of course, converting qualifying results into race results is another thing entirely, and Oschersleben being what it is, doesn't guarantee anything just because you do manage to put in a very quick lap in qualifying when you are out there solo. So plenty of time still to go. These drivers down to 4 minutes left of qualifying, and of course there are opportunities galore for these drivers to actually improve their starting position. As we see Chad Vigard getting very, very loose there. That's not going to be the quickest of laps for him, unfortunately. But does run it through there for a 1:25.375. So P16, probably not what he was hoping for, honestly. As we take a look around and just see if we can catch anyone else finishing up their laps here. Reg James. I don't think we've actually seen much of Reg so far. This may even be... I'm just trying to think. I don't think we've seen him in the first couple of rounds yet. So a little bit of a wild horse, a dark horse even for me tonight. I haven't seen much of his driving, so can't really tell you what to expect from him at this stage. As you see, Anita Buckland's just stopped on track, as has Stephen Varga. So I think what we've probably seen is about all we're going to at this stage in terms of qualifying. There's perhaps a couple of laps left to run out there. Notably Phil Marsh having not actually put together a qualifying lap at this stage. Neither has Steve Kennedy. So still a chance if they want to jump in. As we wait out just the next couple of minutes. I hope you've been enjoying the broadcasts here. We are doing our very best to bring these to you each and every week as best we can. And so just waiting on the rest of the evening to play out, of course. I have just received word as well. You'll be pleased to know that I do have a very friendly co-commentator, Dean Biggles Hopton, on his way. He's just been delayed a little in getting here tonight, but hopefully he doesn't miss out on any of the racing tonight, because Oschersleben, as always, promises to deliver some fairly exciting results. As we just await the last couple of minutes. This is, of course, the challenge of timed qualifying runs, is that we do have to just wait for everybody to actually wrap up their qualifying attempts, and if a couple of drivers are yet to do so, then it may just take a little longer than we'd hoped. So look, in anticipation, I'm just going to take away your ability to see who's performing at the moment, because I don't want to spoil everything. We might, in the last minute and a half, see something a little different. You never know. Of course, we are just at the start of this season, not that far into it, and quite a few rounds to go yet, so the championship really still open to anyone, but a few top contenders are really starting to stand out. And if you have a look at the championship results that we referred to earlier, Matt Vanderkraan, Trav Hunt and Stephen Varga really stamping themselves as the ones to beat for this season. But we've seen some great performances right through this list of drivers, and the field is just so deep in talent. There's so many drivers here that are capable of putting together a really impressive run. So it may just be a question of who has the experience here at Oschersleben, but we will have to wait and see if there's a particular driver out there who's had some success and can translate that again this evening. I was talking, of course, to Troy Sipple earlier this evening, and did mention that he's had some success here before. So there is a possibility we'll see him put together a decent set of laps. A 13-lap sprint is really anyone's for the taking. It's not enough time for strategy to play out. It's barely enough time for these guys to get themselves sorted out into some sort of pace line. So expect that this first race is going to be really incredibly fast and furious. I don't think we've had another race that's been quite so short as that. As we see Qualifying just finishing up there. So let's take a look at the grid as the drivers do get set and ready to go. So Van der Kraan and Hunt take pole and P2. Steve Varga and Chris Burridge just behind, with Damon Fisher and Daniel Sherris in the third row there as well. Peter Latham and Matthew Stoyles, then Scott Perrins and Troy Sipple rounding out the top 10, with Rick Vigar and Sean Vandermeulen also making their way to the front of the field. Gary Buckland and Peter Sattler followed by Trav Daly and Reg James qualifying P16. Chad Vigar and Nick Hausler just a little further back, with Mark Peck and Jason Dunn behind them rounding out the top 20. Then Dylan Sipple, James Hardy, Joseph Granshaw and Todd Martin. Matt Wicks alongside Craig Rose, and Nita Buckland alongside Steve Kennedy, and Phil Marsh not recording a qualifying time either, will start from the back row this evening. So quite a bit to come yet as we await the drivers just starting to grid up now. And look, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited to see just who manages to pull off a decent start here. These supercars, of course, very, very difficult to get underway. But we will see in not too long at all. The drivers just gridding up now and getting ready to go on this 13-lap sprint here at Motorsport Oschersleben. As we wait for the starter to confirm that the last couple of drivers have made their way to the grid, just waiting on 2 drivers now, and we will be underway. 1 to go, just Todd Martin. And here we go, ladies and gents. Just waiting on starters' orders now. Always worries me to see the flashing of someone's pit limiter in the background. I really, really hope they haven't got the pit limiter on the front straight, because that's going to be rough. Hey Zoe, good to see you here. Sean Vandermeulen, let's hope he has a better night tonight. We are into starters' orders. The revs rise. We've got red lights. We're waiting on the green. And here we go. It is go, go, go. Race 1, a 13-lap sprint underway, and smoke everywhere as the tyres light up down the main straight. Coming down to turn 1 and turn 2. This is going to be potentially one of the most dangerous corners on the track. And we've already got carnage. 1, 2. Oh, a couple more. The Angry Birds car's been turned around. I thought he was going to survive that, but he hasn't. So that's Reg James, Chad Vigar, Jason Dunn, Troy Sipple, all finding themselves down the back as a result. Not the start they would have wanted. The field starting to space out very, very quickly now. I tell you what, it was always going to be, wasn't it, the first turn that sorted out the pack, but perhaps not quite how anyone there had hoped. And here we go, the pace line's starting to sort itself out. We're going to come through this back chicane here, and look at them come through. That outside cone always at risk of getting taken out as they make their way through. The pace of these drivers just unreal. Cold tyres, first lap of this 13-lap sprint, and no one is wasting any time in getting underway here. As we look to the front, Matt Van der Kraan continues to hold P1, so nothing changed up the front as we do come around to the end of the first lap. Everyone just starting to settle into their rhythm a little. There we go, the pace line starting in earnest. Hoping for a much cleaner pass through Hotel this time around. You can see already people starting to run a little wide there. It's just the nature of that couple of turns. If you don't get that line exactly right, you will find yourself just spat out onto the side. But such is life here at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. You need to be absolutely on your game at all times. Now Rick Vigar, it appears, has copped a black flag. We're just waiting on confirmation of that, but I would say that's from the original incident we saw there on lap 1, which we'll go back and take a look at in just a moment. And race control confirming now that yes, absolutely, Rick Vigar drive-through penalty. So that's going to set him back quite a way. The pits here are very, very long and quite slow to get through. And so that's going to cost him quite a bit of track position. But I tell you what, at this point, as we take a look up front again, Matt Van der Kraan Look, not comfortably pulling away. The field's starting to space out a little, but we're starting to see just a couple of small gaps splitting the field here. Van der Kraan sets the fastest lap at 1:24.6, but not too far behind most of the rest of the field in the high 1:24s as well. Let's go back and take a look at that first lap incident. So you can see it just gets all too tight, and that's of course Troy Sipple being spat out there. As we see a couple of the Angry Birds cars involved, and Reg James unfortunately also getting stuck in amongst it all. This of course is Chad Vigar, who look, it almost looked like they were going to hold each other straight there, but not to be. Manages to make it through with his teammate just in the background having to quickly flick it back around in order to get back up and running. So not the ideal start for a number of those drivers, but here we go. This is Troy Sipple now, and we've just Craig Rose has just had an issue. Let's take a look at this quickly. Yeah, just the cold tyres not giving the grip he would have liked there. That's an awkward spot to be stopped, but having to get back up and running. Thankfully, not too much traffic to deal with. So he's back underway, but a long way back in the field as a result. If you take a look to the front of the field, this is Trav Hunt chasing down Matt Van der Kraan. These guys haven't been separated by much, either on track or in the championship so far. And so it will be good to see what they can deliver tonight. So really the top three at the moment, although not quite in order, but Van der Kraan, Hunt and Varga representing the top three in the championship. So all of these points will be crucial for these drivers as they make their way around. Lap 4 now, so already a third of the way through our sprint race this evening, and not a lot to separate them. It's just behind Chris Burridge, is just looking for an opportunity to get past Varga, and then just behind this group as well. We have a little threesome here. The Sheriffs collecting Matthew Stoyles a little further back as well, but Daniel Fisher just leading this group out. Big slide there. Big slide from Matthew Stoyles. Daly looks to make his way past. He's held the inside line, but Peter Latham will just reclaim that down the straight. Now, can Daly make something of this? He's going to take a peek, has a little look up the inside. Nothing there. A very, very difficult corner to pass on. You really just don't have any opportunity into turn one. So best to just sit back and wait for the opportunity to present itself later on in the field. Not a huge number of options through the first part of this track, and really waiting on just someone to make a mistake before you'll manage to pass through most of this fast front end of the section of the track that we are on tonight. The Grand Prix layout, of course, one of the longest that Oschersleben has to offer, and it certainly takes in all of the technical features. Doesn't really give you any reprieve, particularly from the sausage curbs, which, in case you hadn't noticed, something that I'm a little too familiar with and frankly terrified of. You see Sean Vandermeer, a little bit of space to himself there, but just behind Hauser, Buckland, Peck and Perrins all trying to just tack onto the back. So we'll keep an eye on this one. So make our way around again, close to the halfway mark here. It'll be up in no time. These drivers will need to get moving if they do want to make their way up into the field and collect a few more points. So we see, big spin in the background. Is that Steve Kennedy that's going around? Steve Kennedy and Todd Martin, by the look of things, have found themselves spun around. So let's see if we can find what's happened here. And that curve just, big collision there. So Steve Kennedy had it under control, managed to avoid Todd Martin, but then it just got rear-ended. The car behind, nowhere to go. I'm not exactly sure who it was. But, that went into the back of them. All I can tell you was one of the QPR cars. So some damage there for Steve Kennedy that he's going to have to carry. So we jump back to P11. This is Nick Hausler just holding off Buckland, Peck and Perrins at the moment as best he can. Not a lot of opportunities to take advantage of any slipstream on this track. You've really only got a short back straight, and the front straight your only opportunity, but it doesn't really lead to a whole lot as you come into turn one. So you really need to get the pass done in plenty of time before you do have to make your way through turn one. There's only really one good line that does keep the speed up through Hotel, and you'll see these drivers not really interested in trying to make the pass there. It's just not something that you're going to manage to pull off. Take a look a little further back. Chad Vigar's made the move past James Hardy. Troy Sipple just in behind them, so he's not having the race he was probably hoping for. But Hardy won't be complaining at all. Up in P17, not a bad effort so far, and probably assisted a little by some of the goings-on around the field. Quite a few incidents happening. Let's just take a quick look. Rick Vigar has had a bit of an issue as well, just further back. Now, is this coming out of the pit lane? Have I put the commentator's curse on this? It just looks like he's... no, it looks like it's been absolutely fine, so my telemetry lying to me there. Did say that he'd perhaps had a bit of an incident, but I think just that slowdown exiting the pit just seems like a crash, because you do have to get on the brakes so hard to make that final turn. Vandermeulen, meanwhile, managed to hold off. Reg James, we said we hadn't seen much of him, in the background. That chicane has just caught him out. He's managed to pull it up before the wall, though, so really, really well done there. But not at all surprised. That chicane is treacherous if you don't get the line exactly right. And if you are pushing too hard, it's going to spit you out just like that. So continue to keep an eye on this force and battling for P11 at the moment. Sean Vandermeulen, a slightly healthier gap now. Just a second and a half ahead of this battle pack. If we take a look back up front, Vanderkraan looking pretty comfortable now, out to a second over Trav Hunt. And then 2.5 seconds back to Varga. So a fair gap opening up. Varga really getting caught up in this battle with Chris Burridge, who hasn't managed to shake yet. The M1 Racing entries, of course, they're very bright wheels. They're the only real way to signify the difference between the teammates. But Burridge having a stellar run so far, giving Varga all sorts of problems. Not enough at this point for Burridge to actually make his way through. So here we go, lap 8. 2/3 down, a third to go. Can Burridge make something of it on this lap? So far, has just been stuck to the back of Varga pretty well since the start, and hasn't managed to find a way through. So, look, he's keeping his calm, he's keeping composure. It's good to see that he hasn't tried anything too silly and cost himself a couple of positions. Quite happy to settle in, and realistically a P4, nothing to be upset about. Of course, the reverse top 5 for race 2. He's actually in a pretty good spot at this stage and may not want to mess with that too much. Of course, the story out front, Matt Vanderkraan just extending his lead ever so slightly with each lap. Trav Hunt just can't find the answers at this stage. Vanderkraan proving once again why he is top of the championship. Just very, very consistent laps, one after the other after the other. And a bit of a slide there from Burridge, that's going to cost him a little bit of pace. But he's made that up. Ooh, Stephen Varga, what's happened? Stephen Varga's had a brief connection issue there. Thankfully, he's managed to stay on track. That will have been terrifying for Chris Burridge, if indeed that's happened at his end as well, and I imagine it will have. Take a look a little bit further back in the field. James Hardy just dropping back a couple of positions. But here, this battle for P11. Scott Perrins has dropped off the back of it, but Hauser, Buckland and Peck still going at it. Vandermeulen, meanwhile, opening up a 3-second gap over this battle now, so he's pretty comfortable there in P10. You can see him just off into the distance ahead as these guys just get caught up with each other over and over again. You can see the impact that's having on their pace. Nick Hauser certainly not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination, but when he's watching his mirrors, it's costing him time, and Sean Vandermeulen very, very grateful for it, I'm sure. We jump just ahead, we skip over Sean Vandermeulen. This is the battle for 7th. So Matt Stoyles holding off Peter Latham and Trav Daly. Daly's been stuck back there for a little while now. So you see Stoyles run just a little wide. Getting very loose there. So he's obviously pushing the limits of his ability and the car's ability there. This is going to be a bit of a sign of weakness, I'm sure, for Latham and Daly. They will have seen that. 3 laps to go now. So an opportunity perhaps for them to make a move and just pressure Stoyles a little further. See if they can force a mistake from him and really open up some space to make a safe pass here at Oschersleben. Of course, the opportunity just not there. And Latham's starting to hold up Daly, so Daly looking for a way through as well. About the best thing that can happen for Stoyles at this point is if Daly and Latham do come together behind him. Sean Vandermeulen not far behind. As the trio make their way down the back straight, you can see how far spread out this field actually is now. We've got cars really almost entirely... Oh, there it is! There it is. So, we talked about them coming together. Matthew Stoyles and Peter Latham, or rather Latham and Daly, just in behind. Let's take a look. This is Peter Latham. Daly's been looking for the pass. Oh, contact there. And that, of course, has pushed Latham right off into the grass. He's managed to recover reasonably well, but, of course, upset again by that curb. Vandermeulen looking for an opportunity to capitalise. So we did say that was a possibility. Phil Marsh having a big incident down the back. Is that Phil Marsh in the wall there? Let's take a look. Oh, no. No, it's actually... Oh, nowhere to go for Phil Marsh. Oh, that's devastating for him. Absolutely nowhere he could go there. That was Jason Dunn that got spun around just in front of him. He's just had too much pace into the back of the Grain Spec Racing. That's pushed him back, and then Jason Dunn just couldn't pull the car up in time. Unfortunately, Phil Marsh has suffered the consequence through no fault of his own. So he'll be limping it back to the pits with just 2 laps to go. Now a final lap as Matt Vanderkine comes around and starts his last lap. So lucky to get away without a safety car here for this sprint. Despite a couple of pretty big incidents, really. That last one you'd almost have expected it if it wasn't so late in the race. As Vanderkine continues to just hold Trav Hunt at bay. I don't know if Hunt's going to have any pace to challenge here for P1, but if he's going to do something, it's going to have to be soon. can see just behind Stephen Varga, Chris Burridge going at it as well. So we'll try and keep an eye on both of these pairings. This is Varga and Burridge coming through the chicane as well. Close behind though, Sheriffs and Damon Fisher, not that far off the back either. Vanderkraan maintaining a very, very tidy gap out in front. There it is, Matt Vanderkraan taking the win in that 13-lap sprint. Big slide from Trav Hunt. I don't know if he was trying to drift the whole front straight there. But a solid result indeed for Matt Vanderkraan. And in the end, made it look reasonably easy on the way through there. So let's take a look at the final results as we just wait for the last drivers to cross the line. But the win in race 1 goes to Matt Vanderkraan, who joins us now actually. Matt, a pretty tidy drive, kept yourself out of trouble there.
Yes, mate. Solid start. Sorry, I just jumped straight in the room there. Trav kept me very honest. So could look forward to the second race with him.
Yeah, not wrong. And look, not a great deal of door-to-door action here at Oschersleben, but I don't think you would have expected that, really, would you?
No, but you are a heartbeat away from either a slowdown penalty or just the arse end getting out on you and losing a bit. You've got to stay focused the whole time. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely do, mate. A very well-deserved win. Good of you to stay out of trouble there, because that's about all you had to do there was really avoid a lot of the incidents further back. So a solid drive, well done, and hopefully we'll see a bit of a repeat for you in the feature in just a few moments' time.
Yep, going to be hard with the reverse grid, but well done to Vargs and Trav, and look forward to the next race. Thanks, boys.
Well done. Cheers, Matt. And speaking of, we bring Stephen Varga into the room. Vargs, how did you feel back there in P3? Bit of a battle with Burridge the whole way down.
Yeah, he wasn't giving me much room to breathe, but no, it was a good race. I'm fortunate with this track. There's not a lot of areas you can pass at unless you get a really good run compared to the other person. So, yeah, expect to see more of that next race.
Good to hear. It's definitely one of the more difficult tracks to find a passing line on. Does rely on really the mistake from the driver in front. Look, I'm going to defer to your clearly more expert opinion here. Is there actually any way you can make a pass just from having the better pace through the corner without a mistake, or is this really a question of forcing a mistake from the person in front?
Bit of both, probably going into turn 1 if you get a better run, and going onto the back straight after the chicane. Otherwise, if you're going to go for a pass elsewhere, it kind of requires both parties to be cooperative and give each other enough room. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen here.
Yeah, look, it's a tricky track, but you've made the best of it at P3. Some solid points as we take a look to the championship results, and a longer race coming up next. So looking forward to seeing what you make of that. Stephen Varga, P3 in race 1, mate. Well done, and we'll keep an eye on you in race 2 in just a moment.
Cheers, thank you.
And as we take a look at the results, I am joined in the commentary booth by our good friend Dean Biggles Hopton. Biggles, how are you this evening, my friend? Oh, Biggles, have we got you there?
Oh, yes. Hello.
There he is. How are you, mate? Good to have you again tonight.
Yes, good. I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes, my friend. Just sorting out some last little details.
No problems at all.
Looking forward to the feature race coming up.
Excellent. Well, I will wait to hear from you when you do get back in. Let's take a look at the results, though, from our first race. So Vanderkraan taking the win ahead of Hunt and Varga, then Burridge, Sheriffs and Fisher. Matthew Stoyles back there with Peter Latham and Trav Daly. Didn't really change much of their they're running. And Sean Vandermeulen sneaks into the top 10, not too far behind that grouping either. A little further back, Buckland, Hausler, Peck and Perrins right in amongst a foursome of Quantum Pecky's racing entries there, with Dylan Sipple and Troy Sipple finishing not too far apart either. Peter Sattler and Joseph Granshaw, then James Hardy and Chad Vigar rounding out the first 20. And then Reg James, of course, P21, Matt Wicks, Anita Buckland and Steve Kennedy a bit further back. Todd Martin and Craig Rose, the only other drivers to finish on the lead lap, with Rick Vigar, Phil Marsh and Jason Dunn all having quite a few issues there. But in certainly Jason Dunn and Phil Marsh's instance, not a lot they could have done there differently to have that result play out any differently at all. So, with just a couple minutes to go here before we jump into race 2, we do have to, of course, consider the strategy that's going to come into play here. So 2 pit stops, a 36-lap race. So certainly a very different race as we do wait. Just a bit of information. That incident we saw with Jason Dunn into Phil Marsh, so car 121, he will be taking a drive-through at the start of the second race because of that incident. So that's gonna push him back just a bit further even than where he originally finished in that first race. So not what he would have been hoping for, but not surprised considering what we did see there. So a drive-through to watch for Jason Dunn early on, which could well mean that barring safety cars or pit strategy, it'll see him right to the back and really right out of contention for this race. But such is life, and unfortunately penalties do come when you see issues like we did just there. We're about to go into the second race here, folks, and as we do that, we will take a very quick look at the grid just as soon as our top 5 reverse grid is confirmed and all of those penalties are pushed through by race control. So let's take ourselves a look at the grid for race 2 here this evening of round 3, the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercars Series Season 2 for 2024. Here we go, the grid for race number 2. Daniel Sheriffs and Chris Burridge starting alongside each other, with Steve Varga and Trav Hunt just behind them. Matt Vanderkraan, our winner from race 1, will start in 5th alongside Damon Fisher. Then Matthew Stores and Peter Latham, Trav Daly and Sean Vandermeulen rounding out the top 10. Buckland and Hausler, followed by Peck, Perrins, Sipple and Sipple in the 4 QPR entries all alongside each other, so hopefully they managed to hold it together through that first lap. Peter Sattler and Joseph Granshaw also alongside each other just behind them. And then James Hardy, Chad Vigar, Reg James and Matt Wicks further back, Anita Buckland, Steve Kennedy as well, right down the back there with Todd Martin and Craig Rose. And then Rick Vigar, Phil Marsh and Jason Dunn, probably a first race they'd like to forget, but plenty of time to make up for it here in race number 2 as we do just head to the grid and wait for our drivers to make their way onto the starting line. I am hoping that we'll be joined again shortly by my co-commentator Dean Hopton, because I'd hate for him to miss out on too much of this, but of course a few technical issues around the place to work out, as can happen. So just a reminder, of course, this one 36 laps, 2 compulsory pit stops. So will we see an early one as we did last week, or are the drivers going to try and space this out into 3 equal segments of this race? Time will tell. Just a couple drivers left to grid here, but a very, very exciting race ahead of us, I'm sure, if that sprint race is anything to go by, and just about anything can and will happen when you get behind the wheels of the V8 Supercars. This grid, look, the reverse top 5, Matt Vanderkraan, you can see just on the left-hand side there, so he's got a bit of work to do to get back out in front. Hopefully can just make it through these first few corners without incident, is I'm sure what he'll be hoping for at this stage. And we're just waiting now on a couple of drivers.
Yep. Yeah, man. I think we're waiting for the Bathurst 1000 next weekend. We'll see, I think.
Look, it's on everyone's mind, isn't it? It's As we see the drivers just starting to finish up with gridding. We shouldn't be too far away from a race start here.
I think we're just waiting for Scott at the moment, which is, yeah, the number 8 car right at the back there, the Ford.
Just a little bit of wait. So, because I don't know how much of the first race you actually managed to catch in amongst all that, but
I didn't.
messy one. Here
Sorry,
we
mate.
go. No, all good. You've missed out on a lot of fun. We're under starters orders. The lights are red. We are waiting and ready to go here. And there we are, green, green, green. We are away for race number 2. 36 laps here of Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. And the start of this one looking much like the last, with just chaos on the way into turn 1. Let's see if they all make it through this time. We saw obviously a fair bit of an incident in lap 1 last race, but it does look like we've made it through cleanly. So a great start by all the drivers as they settle themselves in for a long race ahead. Although 36 laps, really, Oschersleben, not a particularly long track, so it'll go by before you know it. Biggles, what have you been looking forward to coming back again this week for ASR's V8 Supercar Series?
Oh, some good door banging, as we can see. Damon the Shark Fisher, he had a horrible start, unfortunately, dropped back 6 places, just bogged down off the line there, couldn't gauge that clutch there, upshifting the gears, and is now struggling in midfield. Yeah,
it's one of the things with these supercars. If you don't get moving off the line, it really costs you a lot of time, doesn't it? And certainly not an easy car to get started. You see the drivers making their way down the back straight for the first time. The pace line already in full effect. But out in front, Daniel Sheriff's doing a great job holding off Chris Burridge. And Matt Vanderkraan hasn't made any progress just yet. So that reverse top 5, just sitting. Now, here we go. That's Vanderkraan into the pit, I believe. So he's gone
we
for
got 3 cars.
Very early stop. And a couple others. Is that Peck and Daly behind, I believe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it all starts happening very early. The strategy begins to play in. Obviously, fuel is not the concern here. It's only a 36-lap race. So really, the pit stop is all about strategy. And seeing an early stop there, not surprising. We were kind of expecting that, weren't we?
Oh, we got a couple of cars going around too. It looks like Red James and somebody else has come together. Actually, Joseph, yes. Jacob Granshaw.
Granshaw and James have come together. We'll just take a quick look back at that and then jump back to the action. So this is down into turn 1. And yeah, look, it's a hell of a corner. Oh, look, not surprising there. That's a huge whack into the rear quarter. And yeah, about what we expected, really. If you get offline there, even a little offline there, that's going to be all that it actually takes. But back on track, and yeah, Joseph Granshaw, look, I suspect we'll be hearing from race control in not too long from that one.
Yeah, there's been a collision of a couple other cars as well too earlier, but further back, Todd Martin and Matt Wicks, Dylan as well too, all banging side by side. Matt's gone around. Matt Wicks, the number 88 machine, down back to P20 currently at the moment, a little bit of a door banging tag, but further up the field by Ferran, it's all happening in P7 as well too. Gaggle cars led by Sean, I think, with the 4.
Take a look at that, just getting
51.
absolutely turned there. Matt Wicks by the QPR entry. That was the 888, of course, of Scott Perrins, who just gave him a bit of a nudge and sent him around. It's cost him a lot of positions. So a bit of work to do for Matt Wicks, and he's into the pits and decides to make the best of that. Have a look, though, at this group here. Sean Vandermeulen up into P7. But again, we saw this in the first race. He's now having to hold off 3 or 4, 5 cars behind him. Buckland, Sipple, Troy Sipple, that is, Damon Fisher, James Hardy, and then Scott Perrins a long way back after that. But Nick Hauser there really leading that pack of 5 behind Vandermeulen. So this little pack is the battle for 7th. Vandermeulen reasonably comfortable out in front at the moment. But,
and also, my friend Chris Barrage putting the big pressure right now on Daniel, who's lost that gap, and then got a bit of gap, about 2 seconds to change down to P3. So P1 and P2 going for it. Chris Bryce just at the fastest lap on the previous lap, so he's doing it 27. Now he's done a 25 flat, both of them, as he's caught Daniel. One thing to catch, another thing to overtake. So Ford versus Holden, P1, P2.
Yeah, and that is what we heard from our drivers earlier after race 1. This track does not present a bunch of opportunities for overtaking, so all you can do is apply the pressure and hope to see a mistake in front of you. Van der Meulen, very, very comfortable, very consistent right now. So Hausler, Buckland, Sippel and Fisher have got the work to do behind to try and put pressure on Van der Meulen. If we take a look up front, Burridge though, all over the back of Daniel Sheriff's. And this is the sort of pressure that you need to apply if you do want to force a mistake. So he's just tucking in Matt Vanderkraan, setting the fastest lap there.
That was
he's
a good lap too.
He's a long way back, 1:24.4. That's pretty similar to what he said in qualifying. So he's certainly not waiting around for anybody. As Burridge just gives Sheriffs a little more space as we come down the back straight. But he'll be looking to make a run, I'm sure, into turn 1 if he can just stay on the back here. Closes that gap all the way up as they come towards the pit entry. Neither of them going in at the moment. So let's see what Burridge can do down the main straight.
Oh,
We'll
and
take
Gary
a bit further
Buckland's
back
had
though.
in the big Gagler cars back in P12 currently at the moment. So
See if we can catch that one. What's happened here? So this is the 4 that were chasing Van der Meulen. Has there been any assistance, or has he just lost it over the curbs, I wonder? Oh, big bounce over the curbs there. And, actually a little bit of assistance, I think. The number 17 there of Troy Sippel just giving him a bit of a nudge. So we'll wait and see if the stewards have got anything to say about that one. Joseph Granshaw has copped a drive-through as well, it seems. I'm just waiting for confirmation of that. But it does appear that he might have been found at fault for that earlier one. And indeed, race control confirming drive-through penalty for Joseph Granshaw. We saw that big move that he tried to put in turn 1 went all sorts of wrong, and yeah, not surprised to see him pinged for that one. But here we go, this group of 4 now continuing on without Gary Buckland. I don't think we've heard the end of that just yet. It does look like Gary Buckland, though, after that amount of damage, is actually out of the race this evening. We'll see if he does manage to get back in. He's got a lot of repairs, but at this point, I don't know that he's looking to continue. So perhaps a bit more damage than he'd hoped for. He has already used his fast repair, so that does not bode well at all for Gary Buckland's opportunity to chances to get back into it tonight.
As the team AJR Damon Shark Fisher has elected to go into pit road. So that's interesting. And of course, Scott Barton didn't start the race. He was the one waiting a while on the grid. Unfortunately, got a timeout, and thus will not be competing in the feature race.
There's a couple of drivers that didn't make the long. Simon Haynes in the chat this evening. It's tough track. I was saying to Troy Sippel earlier before we went to air that this is one of my least favourite tracks. I don't know about you, Biggles. What's your take on this one?
Oh, it's I don't drive, my friend. I just sit up here and commentate over the cars driving around here. I think it's a great track for entertainment purposes, but for drivers, it's probably a bit of a nightmare because it is technical and tricky. I
can tell you, I sincerely dislike it, if only for the pit exit. It's got to be the most difficult pit exit in existence on iRacing, and I don't know if I'm just incapable of taking that final turn back into the racing line, but it just
Travis
gets
is
me
just
every
entering
time.
the pit roads right now from Travis Hunt from P4, I believe it was at the time. So he's one of the top in the top 10. Yeah, he's just hit the anchors in that pit lane entrance as well, too, as you mentioned. Troy Sippel's also gone into the Quantum Pex Racing team.
The entry is not much better than the exit, honestly, but the exit, I don't know who designed the thing, but it's like they've made it to catch out as many drivers as they possibly can. It's horrific.
Just slow down.
Just to put this in perspective, you have to slow down so much to get out of that pit that every single driver that has come out of pit lane so far in this race, my telemetry is actually flagging for me that they may have actually crashed because their speed has dropped so much. It's not them crashing, it's actually just how slow they have to go to get out of that pit exit. Every single one, Trav Hunt and Troy Sipple, right as we speak, have just come out of the pit lane, and immediately our telemetry has said that we should have a look and see if they've crashed. It's just phenomenal, isn't it?
Well, Chris Barrage at the moment isn't worried too much about that one. He just got past Daniel for the lead of this race, so it's taken him a little while to get the job done. 7 laps, in fact, but he has it, and they've got a gap now up the road by about 2 to 3 seconds. It was a little bit more before.
Go back and see if we can catch that passing move as well. So where's that come about? So through the chicane, Burridge getting a great run through there. And there it is, just gets the traction down and makes it look easy in the end. So Chris Burridge now out in front and starting to pull away already from Daniel Sheriff. So considering how long that he was held up behind Sheriff's, it really does just go to show how difficult it is to make a pass at this track.
Yeah, it's only got a couple of short straights per se. So, and then no major heavy corners into those turns as well. So that's really the reason why it's very difficult to overtake. Usually, as you know, in most tracks you find a nice long straightaway into a tight corner, aka equals overtaking opportunities. But this track doesn't really have them.
No, it doesn't give you much at all unless you see an opportunity from someone making a fairly big error. We see here Dylan Sipple and Todd Martin, the QPR boys, having a nice little battle of their own. Sipple out in front currently, but Todd Martin's been threatening for the last lap and a half. Just tacked onto the back here, so we'll see if they want to dice it up or if they're just playing a little bit of drafting between the team. So far, so good. I'd hate to see them come together. I'm sure they're going to be more disciplined than that, but the red mist can descend from time to time.
Car 64 has been giving a drive-through penalty from us.
Yeah, that's Joseph Granshaw's the earlier one, but we've just had an update as well from race control. Troy Sipple copying a drive-through. That'll be from that little nudge that he gave earlier to Buckland, I suspect. So that'll
race control sharpen on that one this evening. Yeah, we've got 2 Sipples, of course. We've got the other Dylan Sipple at the moment, currently running in P10 as Scott gets past James Hardy and up into P8. So are they siblings or family?
I believe, and I'm sure Simon, if you're floating around in chat, I'm sure you can correct me here, but I am reasonably sure that Dylan Sipple is Troy's son. I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that he is. So, if someone in chat can confirm that for me, I can't remember where I came across that information. So it's every chance that it's completely wrong. As we take a look at
it would be amazing, isn't it, if you have 2 Sipples in a race and they're completely non-related.
Yeah, completely unrelated.
You wouldn't hear very often, but
honestly, you'd have to think with a surname like Sipple, it's not a particularly common one. Even if they aren't related, they've got to be related somewhere along the line, don't they?
Yeah, Nick Kent from the Angry Birds Racing Team heads into pit road as well too. So, and of course the lights automatically come on.
Here. Oh, he's gone around the outside of Anita Buckland. No, he's backed it right off. Has he got to slow down there? He's had to pull right back. Oh, he's gone to the pits. Gone to the pits. Okay, yep. So Anita Buckland survives that one, but. There you go. This is Matt Vanderkruijl. So Buckland's actually turned off there as well by the look of things. Passing a few of them in the pits. So people just starting to get their pit stops in. There you go. Father and son. Nailed it. Thank you, Simon. Appreciate you confirming that for me. Matt Vanderkruijl and Trav Hunt just in front of him. So these two here, we'll call them the effective race leaders because they are amongst the group that have made their first pit stop. And we did see them go in pretty early in the piece. But still a second pit stop to come. So 10 laps in, 26 to go, 2 compulsory pit stops. case you haven't been paying attention. There's still a lot to play for, so we'll see how these guys go in terms of the strategy from here, but plenty of time to bin it at this point.
Travis, yeah, as you said, is in the P12 currently making his pit stop. He did it on lap 6. Most of the other drivers did it on lap 1, so he'll have a little bit more. Scott goes in at the moment into pit road 2 from the Quantum Perfume Racing team, so he'll drop down the order a little bit. Dylan, sorry, Simple is got in there. That's the father.
Dylan's the son.
Son,
Yes, yes. No, you're right. You're right. We'll get it the right way around as we go. Absolutely. One of the simple entries in any case is into the pits, and there's been a pretty steady stream of pit stops happening now. So we're sort of getting to about a third of the way through. So it looks as though perhaps some of these drivers are looking to just split it up nice and evenly, 3 even stints.
Chad absolutely putting a massive pressure on Travis for P13 at the moment. There's also Travis has got a teammate behind him of Stephen Kennedy. So the M1 Racing boys, well, Chad is in a sandwich of M1 Racing team at the moment.
Go back and take a look as we come onto the main straight here, and big moment there from Trav Daly, and that's what's given Chad Vigard the opportunity to start to make the move as we come down towards turn 1. And let's just take a look at this pressure. Should point out this is not at full speed, this is half speed, and yet these guys still look like they're flying. But Chad Vigard all over the back, and take a look at the distance he's got there, or lack thereof, to the back of Daly through turn 1, and then right up behind him into turn 2 through Hotel. Tell you what, there's not a lot of room to pass there, but he's certainly putting the pressure on and looking to force a mistake. So one to watch.
And another one, Daniel Sheriffs, who was leading this race for a little bit after Chris got past him. He's going to pit road. He's come back out, I think, in P6. That's pending if he get the speed up out of that tricky pit lane exit. As you mentioned, don't cross the white line just yet. He will just get out ahead of Travis. So
Daniel Sheriff's doing all right so far then. That's not bad at all. I was wondering if perhaps the pace of Hunt Vanderkrant will be too much, and Sheriffs just wouldn't be able to get back out of the pits, but perhaps they've just been held up in traffic enough that it's allowed Daniel Sheriffs to come back out. That said, they're not that far back from him now, and I'd be nervous if I was him, just knowing what I know about Matt Vanderkrant and Trav Hunt. Both very, very quick. Daniel Sheriffs, look, he's not slow at all, but his best lap so far, 2/10 slower than Trav Hunt and 4/10 slower than Matt Vanderkrant. So he's going to have some work to do.
Chris is in, Stevens in as well too for P2. It's going to be very, very interesting. So Sean stays out with the 458 car. James Hardy stays out, perhaps he will there, and Todd goes in, so James Hardy stayed out. This will be interesting. So Daniel now, Sheriffs will be in P3, should be by the time they come in and out of this pit stops. Will Chris take the lead? Chris is in his pit box right now. Where's Daniel? Coming around the main straight now. Chris is still in his pit box, but they could be coming close to the exit. No, he won't. Daniel will scoot on by, so that undercut's paid off for Daniel big time.
Absolutely has, and you see those couple of cars just making their way out of the pits.
He did cut the pit lane entrance there. I don't think he's allowed to do that. But
look, iRacing will sort that out for us, I'm sure. It doesn't give you any leeway at all on that pit exit, which, again, just another reason that I hate this track. That pit exit. I'm a little jaded by it. I'm a little burnt by it. I've had one too many meetings with the ball out of that pit exit myself, so forgive me if I do go on about it a little, but oh god, I hate that pit exit.
This is also very, very interesting. I'm looking at the telemetry as well too. Chris is a very, very long. That's the reason why he's lost so many places. He's lost it to Matt Vanderkrant and Travis as well. And I was wondering why, and he took an 18-second stationary pit stop. Daniel took a 12-second.
Yeah, was there some damage? Was there just extra fuel that he's taken on? It's a really long stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
I think that's strategy of play. He may have a little bit more gas to switch it to a two-stop, as you said.
Yeah, just a little splash and dash later, perhaps, but we will have to wait and see. So we head into lap 15. Sean Vandermeulen out in front. James Hardy's come in. So Vandermeulen here out in front on his own in terms of the current position, but he's really the last of the drivers to make their pit stop at this point. So James Hardy in the pits now, down in P7 and dropping as everyone passes him down the main straight. But Sean Vandermeulen, look, enjoy P1 while you can, my friend, because you're going to have to make a couple of pit stops. That said...
He's like, don't worry about it, mate. I've got an extra jerry can in the back of it. It's okay.
He's fine. He's fine. He's got 28 seconds back to Daniel Sheriffs. If he does make a stop here, if it's a quick one, then it may just be enough for him to stay in front as he makes the move past, the car of Craig Rose, I believe. In any case, into the pits he goes. So, let's keep an eye now on Daniel Sheriffs and see where he comes out. Vandermeulen into the pits. It's a very, very long entry before you even start the timer on the pit lane itself. Most of these stops about 30 seconds, so at that rate, every chance it'll come out a few seconds behind Daniel Sheriffs here, which will be enough to drop him down into P5 or P6 even. So Vandermeulen only just to his box there. You can see him now just off the top left of the screen as we come down the main straight. He's going to find himself a fairway back. That was a very quick stop though. I stand corrected. I thought it had stopped.
No,
he's stuck around. Okay, so he's made a longer stop.
Yeah, he's definitely going to jump out. If he can get out and head of the 73 machine down the back stretch right now, that's going to be super close. He may not have the speed at the exit here. He's got to just navigate through that, I think. As they're going to be all flying around the corner now, he's going to be in a gaggle of traffic there, which is probably not what he wanted. He needed to clear, didn't he? He needed to clear Matthew, and he couldn't quite clear Matthew, so got a bit of work to do.
No such luck. Hey, just as a matter of sheer interest, and I like some random numbers lining up. Matthew Stoyles just ahead of Sean Vandermeulen. Both of their pit stops. So Matthew Stoyles are 14 flat in the box. Sean Vandermeulen 13.9. But their total time in pit lane both 35.5 seconds. So very, very evenly matched on their pit stop. Don't think it'll play much, but it's just, it's a nice little coincidence, isn't it?
It's something, and of course, if drivers are listening to the broadcast, and some of the drivers do, they'll be maybe taking a little bit of that into their strategy as well.
Just doing what we can to make the race interesting from this side, aren't we?
No, Mikey, no.
Just a little bit of information sharing between friends. Never hurts. If we take a look a little further back, Nick Hausler getting quite a lot of grief now from Peter Latham. He's looking to make that pass. Here we go, the dive up the inside. Is he going to make it stick? Can't quite get there. It's a really, really tough spot to try and make a pass. There's not enough room on the exit. As Latham goes very wide out into the dirt, that will have hurt his traction down the main straight. You see that gap starting to open up, so let's see what he's got under brakes into turn one. Oh, he's dropped even further back. But Hauser runs very, very wide there, so can he maintain the line? There you go, that's all that Latham needed. That's enough to make his way past. A very, very clean pass in the end. We'll take a look a bit further up. So, Vandermeulen and Stoyles still going at it. Vandermeulen just getting closer with every turn and starting to put a bit of pressure on here. Now, Matthew Stoyles, we haven't seen a great deal of him in this series so far. So a bit of an unknown for me. But from what you're seeing so far, Biggles, what do you fancy his chances are of actually holding on to P6 here?
It's very possible, absolutely. Yeah, BT.
We say that as Vandermeulen rolls on through and takes
say.
P6 for it. Look, I spoke too soon, perhaps. Yeah, it is. But Vandermeulen just getting the job done there. As we look ahead, this is where the battle packs really start. Daniel Sheriff's still maintaining a comfortable second and a half out in front over Trav Hunt, then a couple seconds back to Chris Burridge, who right now, as we take a look forward, is just looking in his rear view. That's Matt Vanderkraan also making his way past the Granny Spec Racing entry. So Vanderkraan really just looking to close that gap to Chris Burridge. But Daniel Sheriff's actually feeling, dare I say, comfortable out in front at the moment. But Vanderkraan looking to close it up. Steven Varga, meanwhile, has found himself back in P5 after his pit stop. So these front 5 all separated by between a second and a half, and then a huge gap back to Sean Vandermeulen, who finds himself 10 seconds back from Varga. It's really separated right out here somehow.
Yeah, massive gaps of long, but with the second round of pit stops, do you think? I mean, we're halfway through the race, so what, we're 24 minutes and change, so we're not really halfway, so we've got about 15 minutes or so to go. And you are predicting another pit stop for majority of drivers?
There will be. I mean, there's a second compulsory stop. The only question is how long that stop goes for. Chad Vigor and Damon Fisher back in P20 and P21 have 2 stops to their name so far, but I don't know that that's necessarily a good sign that they've had to make those 2 as strategy as opposed to perhaps some damage incurred. Oh, big slide in the background there. That's Rick Vigor. Oh, that's a huge one. Let's go back and take a quick look, see if we can catch what actually happened there. This is coming out onto the main straight as he just overcooked it. Dips that dips the rear tyre into the dirt, and just a big slide.
Takes out the DRS board too, so no DRS activation for you, young man.
Great job, though, to keep it off the wall there. He'd be very, very happy to have not ended up with a bit of damage after that. Heart-in-mouth stuff when you see a car just step out like that.
Matthew Stalls did get past, I think, the M1 racing team, because now it's Travis hunting him down and Stephen Kennedy for the second of the M1 machine. And Stephen, you've got to give him big credit there for 55 machine. He's up 15 places currently in P9. Yeah, he still has to make another pit stop. But then again, the majority of the field do, apart from you go back to Chad Vigor in 19th place. He's the first of the 2 stoppers so far.
I have to think, being that far back, though, he's got to be out of the running for making up that time with everyone's second stop. I can't imagine that he's going to pull it off. And there we go. So that's Trav Daly off into the pits looking to get himself some clean air. So Steve Kennedy will take up the fight now with Stoyles and keep an M1 racing entry firmly in his rear view. But Sean Vandermeulen continues to just walk away out in front.
Yeah, Chad is 56 seconds off the leader, and we know, well, an average overall pit stop time around here, let's give or take 40 seconds, so we'll be about 10 seconds behind, give or take.
So starting to space out. Simon Haynes obviously keeping an eye on Chris Burridge. Look, putting in some good laps. 124.6, his best. His last a 124.9. But here we go, and big slide. That's Phil Marsh into the wall just behind. So he's back in P26 already. Here
comes Matt battling for P3 on the back there of Travis Hunt, putting big pressure there, and he's got some Angry Birds flapping on that 180 machine. Travis says he can have your Angry Birds. That's so... Oh, he's gone pit road. Matt's gone pit road. That's interesting.
There we go. So that's the second stop for him. That's 16, 17 laps to go. Just looking for some clean air, perhaps, to be able to pull past these guys. And this is where the strategy comes in at this particular track. There's really not a lot of passing opportunities, and so if that's the case, then really clean air is all you can rely on.
Win at pit road, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, it's about all you can count on in terms of giving yourself some space to actually make up the time.
Yeah, that was back in the days of Formula 1 when it was gets to very, very boring days because of like the Ferrari period sometimes with Michael Schumacher. Remember, like there wasn't a lot of overtaking, so most of the excitement was done during the pit stops.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, isn't it? Trav Hunt has copped a drive-through from lap 19, so just last lap there must have been an incident there that has caused that, but he's picked up a drive-through, so that's going to hurt his chances here. In P3 at the moment.
Oh, and Matty comes out of the pit road and runs very, very wide. I was about to say, we'll keep an eye on Matt, see what sort of time he has to Daniel, who's leading this race, and whether he can make up that pit stop difference, which is what we're calculating or estimating per se, is 38 to 39 seconds in pit. overall pit stop.
You've heard it here first. Simon in the chat expecting Matt to make the undercut with that stop.
Yeah,
look,
I think so as well. I'll keep an eye on that. He's 45 seconds away from our race leader at the moment, so he needs to make up about, give or take 10 seconds to take it as Travis Hunt goes into pit road. So we're starting to see that second round of pit stops coming, my friend. Oh, that is the drive-through.
Yeah, I reckon he'll probably be serving his drive-through there, but let's wait and see if he actually does stop in the box. But it's going to cost him a lot of places to drive through.
No, it's not.
Sure.
I just see solar panels everywhere as well, too, on the main building.
So Chris Burridge.
There you go. There's one for the chat. How many solar panels are on the pit lane building? And how many kilowatts do they produce?
We might take a look at the blimp shot later as we wrap up this evening and try and count them from up above. That might be the best way. Let's take a look a little further back.
Do you reckon it could power my computer? Go ahead.
I suspect so. James Hardy coming up the main. There's Troy Sipple looking to make the move into turn one. This is dangerous. He's made it stick, but geez, it's hard mouth stuff. Here we go. The over-under almost. As James Hardy finds himself with a bit of better traction, and now he's going to make Troy Sipple have another crack if he wants to come through. Sips thinks about it, doesn't send it, and probably a wise choice at that point, because if you do run off there, it's a long way to get back on track.
A short time to get there. It's a long way to go and a short time to get there at that point anyway. So, Stephen from P3 elects to go into pit road, so we're going to keep an eye on all of those as well. Little Daniel, Sheriff's leading there. Chris Barrage, remember those two were going for trading Christmas cards early between the two. Now Chris has the back into that P2 position when Daniel started. They started in P1, P2 in this reverse grid. They currently are running P1, P2.
Yeah, look, I'd love to see that tonight, actually. It's the last couple of races we've seen the usual suspects. There's a couple of really quick names here, but I'd love to see Sheriffs of Burridge get the win, thanks to the reverse 5, as we see Troy Sipple peeling off for his second stop, leaving James Hardy all alone on the main straight. Have a look at that clear air. He must be loving it right now. And let's take a look just a little further up. Steve Kennedy hassling Matt Stoyles for P4. Simon calling it for Burridge. That's pretty brave with 14 laps to go. He's definitely been quick, but I don't know if he's been fast enough that we could call it this early. But let's see how accurate your call is there, Simon. There's still a little way to go, and Burridge well out in front, but still a second stop to make. Now Stephen Varga has made his second stop. He's the front runner of the two stoppers. Chris
comes in.
Okay, so Burridge is in for his second. Let's see where it comes out as Stoyles peels in and Steve Kennedy continues. Let's go back and keep an eye here on Stephen Varga. So Varga is the first of the drivers that has made two stops.
Far back.
He is a long way back, but it's a long way into the pits. So Chris Burridge is in the box now. Let's see how long he actually spends refueling. Here comes Stephen Varga, taking the final corner and onto the straight. So Burridge is out of the box.
And Chris is leading, yep. And Steve's on full speed down the main straight. And remember, you got little technical turns. I think Chris, if it doesn't make a mistake.
Oh, just lights the rear tyres up, making it on
he's
out.
Okay
but
for now.
He's done well and continues out in front of Stephen Varga with almost a 3-second gap. That's not unhealthy at all. I'd be pretty happy with that if I was him. That's a very, very solid second stop. So Chris Burridge retains a comfortable position. What we're going to have to keep an eye on, though, Daniel Sheriff's out in front, pretty well bang on 40 seconds ahead of Chris Burridge. Do we think that Burridge can actually catch and pass Sheriff's? As I think Sheriff's is into the pit now.
This is it. Oh, wow. If you want to get the question answered, practically you're going to find out about 46 time, I think.
So this is Sheriff's pulling in. He's our current race leader. He's into the pits, and this is Chris Burridge absolutely charging down the back straight, doing everything he can.
Can't afford to make a mistake right now. He has to be sharp because
you had to say it out loud, didn't you?
Doesn't want to see the 52 machine pull out in front of him. So here he comes. Let's see what he can do. Daniel's still in pit lane. Should be exiting any second right now. Chris is going to be flat out on the main straightaway. And, oh, I think that Chris has got him. Chris is zooming by right now. And Daniel's still in pit. Already just exiting now. Long pit stop. 46 seconds. Will not got stuck. That's it. Ted, down to you in pit road, Ted.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. So Daniel Sheriff's, that pit stop has really cost him. We thought he might have come out in amongst this pack, but finds himself down in P5 and quite a way now. Actually, 25 seconds off the back of Steve Kennedy. But yeah, look, probably about what? Just do some quick maths here. Maybe 8-9 seconds now behind Chris Burridge. So that pit stop really costing him. Steve Kennedy, out in front, does not have the sort of gap that he needs to maintain. So he is up 23 spots at the moment. Enjoy it while you can, Mr. Kennedy, because I am afraid that when you do make that stop, you're going to drop right back down the field as these guys look to come on through.
Steven's just like, give me a safety car, please.
Yeah.
Safety car will do right now.
For it, that's for sure.
Maybe he's going to elect to help out his teammate, because Chris Barrage is the M1 racing team as well too, running in P2. So perhaps he could be on the radio to Stephen, go, okay, Stephen, if I need you later on at some point, mate. But Stephen will, as you said, drop with that 40 seconds to change, probably drop around.
Going to drop a long way down.
Around Chad, perhaps. He's still getting inside the top 10 if he nails it up.
Very late. Sorry, just watching these three battle it out. I was wondering what Reg was going to do there, but pulled into the pits very, very late, leaving Chad Viggo and Matthew Stoyles out battling for P8. And then just behind them, I reckon Nick House has had these guys behind him for most of this race so far. Damon Fisher and Peter Latham, I'm sure, have been stuck to his rear bumper since the word go. The only difference is Trav Hunt's now behind them, and I think that's a bit of a swap for the fourth member of this. But this is the battle for P10. Nick House are just hanging on to it at the moment.
Yeah, it's huge, and you can throw a blanket over that midfield right now. It is heating up, and that's legitimate too. They've had that 2 pit stops each, so what you see is what you get.
Yeah, these guys are all in it, so it's absolutely a battle for P10. No one's going to be giving up a pit stop if they absolutely don't have to.
Stephen boxes from the lead, which we knew will hand that over to Chris. So, and I think Steve wants to come out anywhere near where that gaggle of cars are right now, because he could very well be a part of that. That 4-way party can turn into a 5-way party pretty quickly.
Looking at where these guys are on track at the moment, as we see Trav Hunt making a move and pass Latham in the background there. We know Hunt's got the pace, so he'll be looking to get through this pack fairly quickly. I actually reckon that Steve Kennedy might find himself right in the middle of this if he's unlucky. It's
going to be close, isn't it? Yeah,
it is. There he is, exiting
lane
the pits
now, and they're coming down there. I think we're right. I think this is going to be.
Oh, he's either going to be in the middle of this or just ahead of them.
He's going to want to hope to be ahead of that.
Oh, you'd want to be, wouldn't you? There he is, just in front. Gets out the pit exit. So Steve Kennedy there, just off in front, manages to come out in P9, which can't be too unhappy with. But this battle continues. Trav Hunt, I think, has just been caught up with these guys for a little while, and that's probably hurting his pace pretty significantly. You know, his best 124.6, but lapping in the 125s at the moment. So he's really looking for a way to get through, but this is the real challenge of Oschersleben with so few passing opportunities. If you are stuck behind slower drivers, there's not a lot of opportunity to get through. Even if you are running a stellar lap time, you've got no choice but to slow down with a few of these drivers around you.
That is the call, as Peter Latham is going to have to sit there at a bird's eye view there of the 65% or walk at Travis Hunt there, them, the Shark Fisher, and Nick up the road there. As we got James Hardy. Oh, James Hardy's got on the pit road. Oh, yeah, he had to. I was wondering.
A nudge there, and that's sending Nick Hauser around. So Damon Fisher just nudging the back of Nick Hauser, and that's sent him off the track. We'll wait and see what race control's got to say about that. But that does open up the opportunity here for Trav Hunt. If he can make it past Fisher, he's got clear air in front of him. So he'll be hopeful there. Let's go on board with Trav Hunt now. Let's take a lap from next to the driver's seat around Oschersleben and just see what he's doing behind the wheel here.
Go ride shotgun. Let's go.
Why not? Why not? The scariest ride in life, I reckon.
Does that mean to say we're not going to ride shotgun if you go into the shopping centre there, Joe?
Look, I don't imagine I'll be driving like this. You see him getting very loose, actually making the pass through the chicane there. What an incredible spot to try and make your way through. That's unreal. I don't think I've seen anyone pull that pass off yet tonight. But if it was going to be anyone, it would be Trav Hunt as he charges through and now starts to put the distance on those behind.
I was doing a league earlier today, and it was in Italy, my friend, with the Radicals, and I never saw everybody was doing Oscar overtakes.
Oh no!
In Italy, in Monza. I'm not kidding you. It's like Oscar's just set a whole new fab now of how to get overtaking in Italy, in Monza. So I was just amazed that it was actually brilliant racing. And this is what we're seeing tonight as well too. We're seeing something absolutely fantastic. We can send these drivers to Monza as well, which we're happy.
Why not? Let's take a look back here. I just want to see if we can catch this pass from Trav Hunt on Damon Fisher, because from the inside view, it was pretty impressive. Big slide there, but manages to get alongside and just pushes Fisher out wide. Just dominating the space, and Trav Hunt makes it look easy in the end. But I tell you what, the traction all the way through as he goes through the same chicane, what timing to see him push it through there again.
Closest battle you have to say on track there, maybe the battle for P6 at the moment, with Matthew and Stephen.
Yeah, so Steve Kennedy just tacking onto the back of Stoyles, and he'll be looking to make the pass here, I suspect. Whether he's got the pace is a whole other question. Stoyles has had a few moments tonight. Steve Kennedy throwing the M1 racing machine around to try and get the drive down out the corner. Got a good run down the straight. I don't know if it's going to be enough to make it pass here, and probably the better choice to just hold off a little, because if you're not solidly alongside well before the braking zone there, you're not going to outbrake someone into turn one here at Oschersleben. Meanwhile, Simon Haynes, your call on Chris Burridge, now out to 4.5 seconds in P1. He is absolutely making it look easy.
Yep, Simon, aka Ted Haynes out there, is sharp, the sharpest tool in the jet at the moment. He's right on the money there. So he's pit strategist 101. Steve, Simon,
I'm gonna have to hit Simon up for the word before each race and just make it look like I know what I'm talking about.
There you go, Simon. Yeah.
Simon Haynes not racing this evening, but ordinarily we'd see him on track with these guys as well. So. You know, I think if I was going to sit out around Oschersleben would probably be it, honestly. It's not a track that...
Where would you, there's always one, like, where do you get your little fold-up chair there and your pina colada and sit and watch the race? What do you think, which turn? This hasn't been a particular exciting turn. Usually it's one of these, there's a track where you sit there and go, okay, everybody's bidding it, everybody's having a problem, all the overtakes are done in the one corner, so that's where you want to get your fold-up chair. There's no particular place that we've seen this evening, is there?
Look, there's not. I think, though, if I was going to watch anything, it'd have to be turn 1, turn 2 here. Just because of those damned sausage curbs. They are... Oh, yeah. They are, like, you have to place those front wheels within just a couple mil of them to get the best line through those first couple of turns. But they are so unforgiving. If you're gonna look, if you're here to see,
it's like getting in your car
on
a regular road, isn't it? You're completely, and there's no stripe or nothing to let you know there's a speed bump there, and you just absolutely bottom your car out going over it. I mean, if you've lived overseas, stuff like that, some countries overseas, like You can't even know there's this people up there sometimes. But yeah, that's what it'd be like.
Yeah,
And of course,
100%.
they're doing it at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I would definitely be setting up turn 1, turn 2. However, I would not be setting up on the outside of it. I'd be setting up safely behind the arm code inside, because I reckon that's going to be the most dangerous marshal spot on the track here. Is this one. We're just about to see Steven Varga coming through with Matt van der Kraan in hot pursuit. Have a look at those sausage curves. They're just sitting and waiting to flip one of these cars upside down. They really are.
Yeah, we need to paint like an angry face on that one or some of that, isn't it? And go, haha, I'm waiting for you.
And Steve Kennedy's
I
just got
dare
the
you
move done.
to cut the corner.
Yeah, Matthew Stoyles has held him off for as long as he can, and that's it. Steve Kennedy moves up into P6. But we're going to keep an eye now on Steve Varga.
Sit at pit exit. You're going to capture all the action.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably the safest spot. And as a bonus, Van der Kraan almost into the back end of Varga there. Vargs would have been just having a bit of a
scraped
pucker
up
moment.
on the side too, isn't he? On the Angry Bird racing machine there. He's got a couple of bumps and scrapes there.
He's been racing hard, definitely, up alongside. So that's not too surprising. But yeah, look, I think that the pit exit, if you did set up there, you'd be nice and safe, but you'd also catch all these guys just lighting the tyres up, trying to get out of that pit exit as well. So, yeah, not a bad call. There we go, Van der Kraan.
Here we go, side-by-side action.
Oh, he's managed to hold it. Can he push it? No, he can't quite get there for this last turn. So he's definitely got the pace. Vargs has done everything he can to hold him off. Oh, big moment. Van der Kraan, as always, very early on the loud pedal. Doesn't mind flicking the rear end out to try and get some pace, but it's just cost him a little bit of a lock up.
Got to send it, son. Got to send it now because there's a bit of traffic up the road there. Although he's going to have to lift off in the chicane here. This is traffic. Your race leader Chris is up the road. Like give or take, what are we looking at?
Getting closer to 5 seconds now, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Burridge has absolutely got the pace tonight. And he's played the pit strategy to perfection as we come down to what is almost our 3 lap to go mark. He's making it look easy and short of a mistake. I'd say that Burridge does have this well and truly wrapped up, but the battle for P2 is very much alive. Vargs here just holding off Van der Kraan that last lap. Let's see if Van der Kraan's got the pace in the same spot again this time around.
Got to use that traffic. Got to use that traffic up the road and completely get out of the way or not. But give me a little bit of time. There it is, completely out of the way.
Jason Dunn says, I want nothing to do with this. Thank you very much, and probably a good choice. Van der Kraan getting
Look at the way that Matt's throwing it into the chicanes. He's like, suspension, what? Doesn't matter. I don't need it. He's like, I'm after Steven up the road. That he's chasing Vargs, the old Vargs. It's written on the rear spoiler there of Vargsy, so you can't go wrong. See how Matt's throwing it. He's like chucking it into the corner, mate. See if it sticks.
You gotta love to see it though, don't you?
Oh, it's brilliant.
We get into lap 33 of 36. So getting very close to the end here. Matt van der Kraan starting to think about when he's going to push and try and force the issue here with Steven Varga. Both of them, though, really riding the very ragged edge of these tyres at this point.
I'll tell you one thing iRacing does really well, and I broadcast and commentate on a lot of different cars and series and stuff like that. They make the supercars look absolutely amazing.
Aren't they just?
They look beautiful. Like, you know, you've got your American truck series and stuff like that. They don't look anywhere near as nice as they do.
They really
do. These supercars, mate.
Can't wait for the Gen 3s, right?
I've had people come up to me and go, "Is this real life, or is this a sim?" I'm like, "No, this is a sim." They're like, "Oh my god, it looks like a real thing."
Well, that's just testament to the quality of our broadcast, then I think, isn't it?
Your broadcast is exactly like that.
Ours,
yeah,
mate.
If my mum was to walk in tomorrow or whatever, what? I didn't know this. Is it racing? I'm like, no, this is a sim, mum. It's a sim.
Gotta love it.
Wow.
Matt Wicks copping a late drive-through penalty, so I don't think that's going to affect him too much being down in P27, but all the same, he's going to have to serve that in the next few laps. And here we go, Vargs just moving over now. Here we go. That's Sips Jr. That's Dylan Sips staying out of the way. I was wondering if he was going to play a little interference there, but the QPR boys staying on the right side of race control by not interfering there. Probably a good choice.
You see, what I'm looking at noticing quite well that what Bugs is doing is, and it's your nickname, Bugs, because you've got on your rear wing, He's cautious into the corner, so he's braking more into the corner, of course. So he's braking a little bit earlier. So slow in and quick out. That's the thing, slow and quick out. So he's making sure he's lining it up, and then he's hitting that lad pedal so that it's not rearing the twitching the rear end too much there, and that's catching Matty off in the dirty air as well too, because Matty is approaching, braking a little bit later, trying to get closer, and then when Matty gets on the power there, he's starting to slip the rear end out a little bit and overdriving the car a little bit. Of course, you do overdrive in the dirty air, and that's just what it is. So I think Stephen's doing, Bugs is doing everything he needs to do. Just park at the right place, make that car as wide as possible, and Matt's going to have to some sort of prayer or dummy or whatever to try to get past.
And yeah, the added advantage of that, of course, Vargs knows that Van der Kraan has the corner speed. Like, Van der Kraan's absolutely carrying better corner speed. By braking just that little bit earlier, he's actually forcing Van der Kraan to bleed off so much of that, because there's no way to get through. You know, Van der Kraan hasn't found himself alongside anywhere, so he's really forcing Van der Kraan to just fall out of his rhythm a bit. And it's just holding him off there nicely. So we're down to 2 laps to go here. Chris Burridge, we'll take a quick look ahead. Here he is, just up around the corner, but 5 seconds ahead. He's very comfortable up there. This is where the action is right now. It's Steven Varga and Matt Van der Kraan. They've been really nose to tail for the last probably 5, 6, 7 laps, and then some. It's going to come down to the line here, and I'm expecting a real chance of a side-by-side finish if Van der Kraan gets a run into that final turn. He may just be holding off here and waiting for that opportunity.
I don't think he's given everything he's got. I don't think he's got anything in the tank to just hold back.
Oh, look, you never know with these guys. You
right.
never know,
Yeah.
right? It's
but he had to send some sort of dummy, and it's hard because he can't stick his nose in. He said he's got no opportunity to go side by side. Nothing to throw Stephen off and go, I'm going to plan on overtaking you here. Maybe here. This would have been an opportunity. But the thing is, Stephen's got him covered. He knows you're crazy. There's no way you're going to go up the inside there. And of course, Vargs, you just park it in the middle of the racetrack and say, you go around the outside if you want, mate. And with time ticking down, it's not going to be enough. And
it's the white
it's going to maybe frustrate Matt.
Here we go.
Yeah. Matty's just got to
set
the dummies. He locks up. Oh, anti-lock steering, heavy on the brakes. That was good work there from Matt.
I tell you what, this is where you know you're watching a driver with real skill. To get it that sideways into turn 1, not hit the sausage curbs, not lose any pace. He's still 4/10 off the back of Vargs here. Like, that's bloody impressive. What a save.
Yeah,
from
right on
Van der
board,
Kraan.
mate, with Matty for a bit. You can see how much he's fighting that car.
Oh, look, here we go.
It's tough.
So Matt Van der Kraan, he's been looking at the back end of Steven Varga's car for what must feel like forever.
Feel the steering wheel as well too, mate. That thing ain't just driving on a Sunday drive. Like, he's fighting it in every single chicane you hit. Of course, it bounces the car around, lifts it up there. You lose a bit of traction, gets in the pedal. Look at the revs. It's up and down, hitting the rev limiter. He's trying to weave a little bit.
Can't quite get through. So we'll take a look just up and around the corner. I can't look away here. Steven Varga.
He's going for it on the outside. Wow, he's going to shut the door. He's the kitty litter, but he's okay.
That's it. That would be the last shot.
That's it.
That's it. Steven Varga. We can see just up the road, that's Chris Burridge after taking the checkered flag. But here we go. Steven Varga, well-deserved P2, holding off a clearly frustrated Matt Van der Kraan. But Chris Burridge, the big drift. That's the way to celebrate. What a win from him. Just had this the whole way tonight. And Simon Haynes, I tell you what, you called it early, but should have trusted you on that one, because Chris Burridge has made it look so easy.
Yeah, Simon out there, what's this weekend's lotto numbers for us, please? But just DM it to me, all right? Don't let me else.
Yeah, let's not put that out on broadcast. But if you want to send through, check out the drift from Chris
He knows
Burridge.
Oh wow, Chris, mate, you need to get who's the Kiwi, the Mad Kiwi drifting king?
Oh, Mad Mike.
Was it Goodwill?
Mad Mike.
Yeah, that's it. I think he's out of a job right now. Chris might be really looking at knocking on his door for.
Let's take a look at the replay here, because why not? A bit of slow-mo action for Chris Burridge as he just sends it sideways, celebrating a fantastic win in race 2. Have a look at the angle on this thing.
Oh, I've honestly, I've never seen drifting celebrate a race win in all my years of commentating and broadcasting. Like, that's better than just doing donuts.
Oh,
Right,
mate,
celebrate a victory. That is,
you know
Chris,
what
got
it
my
reminds
friend.
me
That's
of,
good.
though? Did you see Van Gisbergen's first win in
Yes,
NASCAR?
I did. Yeah,
full
and he showed
track
him
drift.
out. Eh?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's
Everybody's
that's
like,
what
oh my
reminds
God,
me
what
of.
is he doing? Oh, wow. I've never seen a race driver do that before. Oh, my God, he's really good. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is what happens when you put a driver that can turn both left and right into NASCAR, right?
Yep.
Chris Burridge just sending it as we're joined by Stephen Varga. Vargs, mate, what a finish to race number 2 for you. We were watching the whole way there as you tried desperately to handle Matt Vanderkraan all over your bumper. How did that feel to finally get through?
I was waiting on him to gobble me up pretty quickly. I wasn't going to catch Chris Burridge at all. He was off. But yeah, no, it was good.
Good to hear. Anywhere there that you thought you might have given it up to Vanderkraan, or you felt pretty comfortable just putting your car in the right spot? It looked like you had him pretty well under control.
The third last corner, I don't know what corner it's called, but I knew I kept stuffing that up, and he kept almost getting a look in the second last corner, but I knew he was going to do it. The first time he went to do it, and I kind of left him room, I thought, oh, fair enough, he's got me, but he didn't continue with it, so it was lucky for me.
Not a bad way to finish, and a very solid P2 that you definitely had to work for. So some more good points for you, and yeah, go and enjoy it, mate. Well earned.
Yeah, cheers. Hopefully it's a change for the season now.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, Vargs. Have a good night, mate.
Thank you, Sue.
And we'll bring on Matt Vanderkraan, who was just throwing everything he had there at Stephen Varga. Mate, you just couldn't get past.
Mate, I've only got so many kitchen sinks I can keep throwing, but it was bloody good fun trying.
It made for some
Mate, I thought you threw
brilliant
more than the kitchen sink. You had the garage, the kids, the car, everything, mate. What good racing.
Yeah, no, it was good fun. Vargs is always pretty consistent. He's never going to leave too much of a gap. So I was tried a few, on that sort of second last corner thinking, wouldn't be thinking I'm coming here, but yeah, no, I wasn't good enough. And awesome drive by Chris Burridge. Just fantastic to see him up on the top step. Good on him.
Yeah, we're just watching some of the footage. Nice little slow-mo from his drifting efforts in celebration as he gets around. But, mate, look, P3, you can't be disappointed with that sort of result. But, yeah, you gave it everything. And unfortunately, Oschersleben just not the track to let you get past, was it?
No, very difficult to overtake here. In the first stint, because I took the gamble and pitted lap 1 and destroyed my tyres. I probably went a bit too hard a bit early, and a couple of boys got past me and took advantage of that. So a couple of great moves by Trav and by Chris. So, yeah, good, well done by them. And then coming out of the pits, I had a little bit of a nudge from another driver who went a bit wide in turn 1 on the second pit stop, which cost me sort of 3 seconds, which ended up being somewhat critical. But anyway, them's the brakes.
That is indeed. Either way, a P3, some good points for you in the championship. Well done, Mr. Vanderkraan, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Good on you, Jared. Good on you, Biggles. Love your work, boys.
Matt Vanderkraan there, our P3 finisher in race 2. But the man of the hour, Chris Burridge, joins us now. Chris, mate, what a spectacular drive.
Yeah, thank you. It was awesome, actually. Had a lot of fun. Yeah, it went very well.
Look, it's certainly made it look easy. The pit stop strategy executed to perfection there. Is that just what you had in mind the whole way, or it just turned out that way for you tonight?
Pretty much. I divided by 3 and just pitted every 12 laps. So that was it.
Oh, look, in the absence of a safety car, it seems to have worked out pretty nicely after all.
Yeah. I did get off to a pretty dodgy start. Put too much wheel spin, and I had to do a bit of a dive bomb on Bards, but luckily he gave me a little bit of room, and yeah, we made it through, so it was good.
It's just racing ultimately, isn't it? Rubbing's racing, as they say.
Yeah, Yep.
But no need for you to rub shoulders with anyone that far out in front. The other thing that I think we've got to give you credit on, we've just been having a chat to P2 and P3 Vargs and Vanderkraan, just having a quick chat to us about their battle behind you that we caught most of. But you'll be very happy to know that we definitely enjoyed your full lap of drifting to celebrate the win tonight, mate. So made for some great visuals. I tell you what, it's one of the better post-race celebrations we've seen so far this season. So setting the bar pretty high, not just in your on-track pace, but with your celebration afterwards, mate.
Yeah, there you go. It was fun. Yeah.
Well done, Chris, and fantastic set of results for you tonight. Go and enjoy it, well deserved, and looking forward to chatting to you again, I'm sure, in another race very, very soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Chris. So, Biggles, we'll take a look here before we wrap up at the final standings for tonight's second race of round 3 here, the Alliance Sim Racing Supercars Series. Chris Burridge, as we said, 5.6 seconds out in front of Stephen Varga and Matt Vanderkraan in P2 and P3. Daniel Sheriffs, we thought was in there with a bit of a chance for a while, didn't we?
Yeah, but he took, as far as I'm seeing it, he took an extra pit stop, so I'm showing 3. So was that his downfall, particularly from losing that podium position or even a race win?
That's interesting. I'm only seeing 2 on my end, so I'm hoping your telemetry is wrong, because if it's a third that's cost him, that's rough, absolutely. But no, I think it does look like he only took the 2. Unfortunately, just spent far too long in there on that second stop, 41 seconds in the lane, so really lost another 6 or 7 seconds with a longer time in the box as well. So,
yeah, the pit stop.
But look, all in all, not too bad a finish for Mr. Sheriffs. Closely followed, of course. Well, I say closely. Steve Kennedy, 18 seconds, 19 seconds back in P5. And then it sort of all bunches up a bit again. Matthew Stoyles, Chad Vigar, Peter Latham, Damon Fisher, and Rick Vigar rounding out the top 10. But the top 4, just miles out in front tonight. And really all came down to pit strategy, didn't it?
Yep, absolutely. It's difficult to overtake around here, so pits is where you're going to get the job done, and that's where it's at. And that, yeah. And on top of it, listen to the drivers. They were absolutely stoked. They're having a lot of fun, even though it wasn't that easy to get the overtakes done. They were enjoying that battling side by side. Well, not really side by side, but of course, battling. It's a race, my friend. And it's a race around this difficult track, but they get the job done. And congratulations to Chris, as predicted by Simon out there in the chat.
Yeah, Simon's absolutely the race whisperer. Maybe should just whisper himself a little win next week. I don't know. Might be worth a look. As we take a look back further in the field, Trav Hunt unfortunately couldn't do better than P11 tonight, despite some really quick lap times. Nick Hauser and Peter Sattler, the teammates, finishing in P12 and P13, closely followed by Peck and Perrins from QPR. Trav Daly back in 16, and then James Hardy in P17. Reg James, despite some early showings, just couldn't quite put it together and finished in P18. And then we see a bit of a gap back from there. There's the Sipple boys in 19th and 20th, unfortunately a lap down. And then quite a number of drivers impacted by various issues throughout. Jason Dunn finishing back in P21, and then Todd Martin and Craig Rose from QPR a little further behind. Anita Buckland didn't have a great night, neither did Phil Marsh into the wall there. We saw in the background midway through. Matt Wicks from Granny Spec Racing copping a bit of a knock, and Sean Vandermeulen, and we did see him up in the top 10 at one point, but ended up 4 laps down, so just not the result he would have hoped for. And of course, Joseph Grancher and Gary Buckland out very, very early on in race number 2. But that brings us to the end of proceedings here at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. Biggles, your driver of the night. Let's hear it. I know you missed race 1, but
you're throwing me on the bus. No, you can't give it to me because I missed race 1.
Okay, well look, let me jump in. Let me jump in. My driver of the night tonight has to be Matt Vanderkraan, just for his consistency. Not there at the top of the table in race 2, but to be able to put together such a consistent performance here at Oschersleben is something pretty impressive.
Oh, he won Heat 1, is that correct?
He did. So,
okay, yes, there you go.
Yeah, so there you go. You did miss that one. So I'll give you...
Telemetry tells me right now, so I'm going to go, oh, he won. Okay, great. Yeah, so there you go. His overall average would be 1.233, something like that.
Something like that. So, really consistent set of results with an honourable mention to Chris Burridge. Yes, his win in race 2 was impressive, but really I'm giving him the honourable mention for his celebration. Loved seeing him drift it around Oschersleben.
Oh, yeah.
So,
he's got a career in it.
Bearing in mind that you didn't see race 1, from race 2, did you have a particular driver that you liked the look of?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, Chris was great. Chris was battling with Daniel early. That was a very, very great battle. There was so many battles, but Travis Hunt was battling quite a bit. And of course, towards the end, that we saw there with Stephen Varga there and Matt. That was fun. It was all over the place, really. But I don't have a pick. I'm going to sit on the fence on this one.
Well, we will get you next time around, mate. We will absolutely get you next time around.
Thank you.
Beals, as always, thank you for joining me here in the commentary box this evening. I do appreciate the company, and always good to have your insight, of course, alongside me. Anything that you wanted to call out for the viewers at home before we wrap things up?
Thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, please, and definitely the like, because that the team at Alliance Sim Racing do a lot of work behind the scenes. And a little bit of a thumbs and a subscribe is a fantastic reward to support the series.
Absolutely it is, and I'll round that up and pretty well say it again. A big thanks, of course, to Alliance Sim Racing for organising this fantastic event again this evening. And from us here at Simple Racing Broadcast, an absolute pleasure to bring it all to your screens right here from Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. Of course, thank you to everyone watching from home. We hope you've enjoyed the racing as much as we have. Plenty more to come in future. Make sure you do tune in again next week, same time, but of course we'll be coming to you from an entirely different track. Do subscribe down below to make sure you don't miss any of the action. Make sure you are subscribed and following Alliance Sim Racing, and stay tuned to Simple Racing Broadcasts for more top tier sim racing action. Until next time, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you again at our next event. Goodbye for now.